Hey, bud. Yeah. I don't know if you know this. I don't know how long it'll be before you see this, but I'm recording your book for you. For later. Believe it or not, that's you. So, you want to sit in my lap? And I'll read you a book. Say, excuse me. Alright, buddy. Chapter 1. Me and My Goats. When Thor was angry, his bellow could shake the birds out of the trees. I know because I saw it happen the morning he awoke to find his hammer missing. I was in the goat yard giving Got-Tooth and Tooth Grinder their morning feeding. I had been working for Thor for about 3 years at that time, providing service in return for a terrible mistake I had made while he and Loki were visiting my parents' cottage. Although my service was a kind of punishment, in some ways I think I had the better part of the bargain. After all, even the table scraps of the gods make for fine dining. Despite the hard work, I was well and fed as I had ever been in my life. On the other hand, there were the goats. Not only were they big, they had to be to pull Thor's cart with shaggy coats and huge curling horns. They were also ill-tempered. God at least was willing to teach me things, even if he did tend to nip me whenever I said anything he considered to be stupider than usual. Grinder, on the other hand, was nothing but a foolish kid who had gone before much more time had passed, not useful for anything other than shoveling dung. Which is why I can't be bothered to talk to him, he told Gat more than once, making sure that I was close enough to hear, of course. You'd think they'd be more polite than to the person who carried away their dung each day. Without me, it wouldn't have taken long before they were at their knees in their own droppings. But having watched things in Asgard, I had come to the conclusion that the more basic the job, the less it's appreciated, no matter how important it is. The reason Grinder wouldn't talk to me was simple. He was not willing to forgive me for that mistake I had made 3 years earlier. In a way, I couldn't blame him. He still did limp, which was a daily reminder that I had done to him. On the other hand, I was starting to suspect he was exaggerating the limp just to bother me. I tried to make it up to him by being kind and helpful as I could, but Grinder was having none of that. A goat once offended was not so easily won over. Anyway, I was currying down Gat as I always did him first, and why not, when the first shout of rage came from inside Thor's house. You should understand that Bill Smear had 540 rooms, so it took a mighty shout indeed to reach all the way to where we stood. I had once asked the goats why anyone needed 540 rooms. Grinder had not answered, of course. Gat simply said, "It's to give the mortals who work for him something to clean." "Uh-oh," said Grinder, now speaking to Gat, not me, naturally. "Sounds as if his royal thunderousity woke up on the wrong side of the stall this morning." Gat's answer was lost in another bellow. This time he could make out the words, "Hammer!" What was wrong with his hammer, wondered Gat. "The thing is unbreakable. Work that little brush a little harder, Thalfie. My back itches this morning. Ah!" As I brushed Gat, I thought about Thor's hammer, which is known as Mjolnir. The gods had a habit of naming not just people and animals, but things. The hammer was sacred and most precious to Thor. In fact, there were times when I thought he loved it more than anything in Asgard, including his wife, Sif, who was so beautiful it made my heart ache just to watch her walk by. I'm not sure she was in the movies. Remember that, bud? Not that he didn't have reason to love Mjolnir. It was the most powerful weapon the gods had against the fierce giants who were the great enemies. These giants were called Jotuns, and Thor was never happier than when he was using his hammer to bash their skulls. All the gods agreed that Mjolnir was the key to Asgard's safety. A third bellow and a cluster of birds fell from the nearby tree. That started the creatures barely managed to stretch their wings before they hit the ground. "Where is my hammer?" "Oh my," muttered Grinder. "This is not good at all." A moment later, Thor came raging into the goat yard. His red beard was shooting off sparks, and the ends of it were curling and uncurling the energy of his anger. A small thundercloud had formed over his head since he was nearly 7 feet tall and bulging with muscles, and the sight of him in such a fury was enough to make my knees buckle.